7 essential qualities of successful people. Okay, let me quickly remind us about the big idea that started us off on this journey in the first place. And it's the words of Jim Rohn that says that success is not something you achieve. Okay, success is not something you achieve. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Success is something you attract by the person you become. And that's why we started looking at the 7 essential qualities of successful people. Why are we doing this? Because I believe strongly if you can identify these qualities and you can intentionally weave them into the fabric of your life, there is nothing successful people achieve that you will not achieve. So before now, we have looked at 3 qualities, 3 essential qualities of successful people. Let me quickly remind you of them. We said that successful people have personal creeds. Okay, by that we mean that they live by a predetermined body of principles. The way I like to say it is this: countries have constitutions, companies have policies, successful people have personal creeds. In other words, they have a body of principles that they live by. Now, these principles are predetermined. In other words, it is long before the opportunity or the challenge comes that the successful person decides, if I find myself in this kind of situation, what am I going to do? Okay, if I find myself in this kind of situation, what am I going to do? So they have a body of principles they live by. In other words, things like I go early, I am punctual. Things like I don't bribe. Things like I don't gossip. I don't speak evil of people behind their backs. Okay, it can be anything, okay, but there is a predetermined body of principles that successful people live by. In the session we had, I gave examples of Mike Murdoch that said, I will never hire a man who does not wear a wristwatch, because when a person does not wear a wristwatch, it means they are not mindful of time. I shared with you about something somebody said to me, and I've been observing, and it seems to be true, that when you want to know how organized a man is, check his shoes. Organized men seems to always have clean shoes. Disorganized men don't take care of their shoes. I don't know if it is true, but I've observed some guys and it seems to be true. So successful people live by principles, essentially. And these principles are predetermined, and come rain, come shine, they stick with their principles. Number 2, we said the second essential quality of successful people is that they are masters of intangibles. Successful people are masters of intangibles. By that we mean they are masters of thoughts and feelings. Okay, both their own thoughts and the thoughts of others, and their own feelings and the feelings of others. They are sensitive to other people's feelings. They are sensitive to other people's thoughts. They are sensitive to what people are not saying by what they are saying. They understand body language. They understand tone of voice. They read trends in the environment, because they know that the tangible is a product of the intangible. And then thirdly, we said that successful people are selfless. Okay, successful people are selfless. They see beyond their needs to the needs of others. Okay, they see beyond their needs to the needs of others. They place the need of others ahead of their own. Successful people know that they can get whatever they want by helping others get whatever it is that others want. In the words of Zig Ziglar, he said, you can get anything, or you can get all that you want in life if you help other people get what they want in life. It's a personal thing for successful people. They know I can get whatever I want by helping other people to get whatever it is that they want. Cool. So let's move to principle number 4 tonight. Okay, successful people are enterprising. Successful people are enterprising. Now, at this point, we're going to begin to put together some of the principles we've shared before, because you see, these principles are interwoven. When I say that successful people are enterprising, what I am saying essentially is that they are visionary, they are courageous, and they are resourceful. Now, the moment I said they are visionary, we're talking intangibles now. Okay, see, but beyond being visionary, they are courageous, they are resourceful. When I say successful people are enterprising, what do I mean? They recognize opportunities and they make the most of them. And believe you me, this is not a talent. This is something that everybody can develop. If you want to develop a keen eye for opportunities, you can develop it. You start from somewhere, you master intangibles, essentially what we're talking about. See, but they've taken it at principle number 4 now. It's beyond just intangibles now. Now they're acting on the result of their ability to see beyond the obvious. And that's what we're talking about. They recognize opportunities. While everybody is complaining, while everybody is saying, oh, this is bad, the successful person sees beyond the obvious and sees the opportunity, okay, in every situation. Because believe you me, life is a compendium of positives and negatives, okay? In every opportunity, there are challenges. To every challenge, there are opportunities. So successful people are so enterprising that to every challenge, they see an opportunity. And they see it ahead of other people. They see it beyond what others are seeing. But much more than seeing the opportunity, they are so resourceful, they make the most of opportunities. They make the most of opportunities. When I say that successful people are enterprising, I mean that they see the potential of people and they bring out the best in them. That's the truth. Successful people are enterprising. They see potential in other people. They see the potential of other people. You know, the successful person is that kind of person that looks at somebody that every other person is giving up on and say, look, yeah, I know he's rough around the edges. I know he has challenges in 1 or 2 areas, but I can see what's possible. They see possibilities, and much more than that, they are willing to take the risk. They are courageous enough to do what it takes to bring out the best in other people. When I say that successful people are enterprising, I mean they are willing to take a risk in order for their dreams or their objectives to come to pass. Let me say that in another way. They are willing to take a risk in order to achieve their objectives. Okay, they are not reckless. Okay, but they never play safe. Okay, they are not reckless. I'm not talking about just living on the edge and just doing things carefully. No. They are not careless, but they are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve their objective. Okay, they're willing to take risks. What you must understand is that everything you desire is on the other side of a risk. And successful people are those people who are courageous enough to take that risk. When I say that successful people are enterprising, I mean they see life from a trader's perspective. Okay, they see life from a trader's perspective. All right, they are always conscious of the fact that every interaction with other people is a transaction. Do you understand? See, the average person sees it as an ordinary transaction, a social, interaction. But the successful person is so enterprising, they know every interaction with other people is a transaction. In other words, they are mindful of what they are selling and what they are getting. And if you're going to be successful, you have got to be like that. In other words, when you interface with people, you must be conscious. This is what I am here to contribute. This is what I stand to gain. Okay, they are so enterprising. They see it. They know life is a trade. Every conversation, every interaction is a trade. Okay, so they are mindful of what am I bringing to the table and what is in this for me. You remember the story of David. That's an example of an enterprising person. And for those who are familiar with scriptures, you will know how that in 1 Samuel 16, a servant of Saul described the qualities of David. And one of the things they said about him was that he was prudent in matters. A way of saying it is that he was astute in business. Okay, he knew how to read situations. He knew how to see opportunities and how to make the most of them. In other words, he had a trader's perspective. So when he got to the battle, the beautiful David and Goliath story in 1 Samuel 17, when he got to the battlefield, he saw the giant. People were afraid of him. He had the courage to fight the giant, but he did not step out to fight until he has negotiated first. What is going to be done for the man who fights this giant and take this disgrace or reproach away from Israel? That's a trader's perspective. They don't waste time. They don't waste effort because they know what every other person is giving out for free, I can get something for it. So they are always thinking of the trade. Okay, let me say this to you. When I say they have a trader's perspective, this is what I mean. They know that quality, or value is not what determines price. Perception is what determines price. So they are so enterprising. They know, look, my profit is not fixed. My price is not fixed. My price is what I want it to be. When you see people that are very enterprising, they tell you there's nothing like a fixed price. Okay, so when they want to get something, or when they think this is the value they deserve, they are willing to package themselves, their products, their resources, whatever it is they have to offer, so that it is perceived by others with the eye of value, because they know it is not value that determines price. By the way, most of the most valuable things in life are free. That's the truth. So when it comes to price, they know price is determined by the perception of value, not real value. Okay, they know I am not on anybody's mercy. My profit is up to me, and they are willing to do whatever it takes, short of sin, short of crime, to get their profit, to achieve their objective. Even if they are in social entrepreneurship, they are so driven, they are so passionate, they are so entrepreneurial, they make the most of every opportunity. But for our discussion tonight, I want to focus, or I want to zero in on one major quality of enterprising people, of successful people, and it is courage. Because sometimes everybody can see the opportunity, but the question is, who is willing, okay, to go out of their way to do what it takes, to risk, okay, face the risk, okay, and get this thing done. Successful people are enterprising. They are people of courage. So let's speak a few minutes, okay, let's spend a few minutes talking about courage tonight. What is courage? Courage is the quality of spirit that enables you to face danger or pain without showing fear. Let me read that to you again. Courage is the quality of spirit that enables you to face danger or pain without showing fear. In the words of Mark Twain, courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting in spite of it. This is important, okay? Perhaps tonight's session is going to be very, very short, so please pay attention. Courage, okay, is not the absence of fear. It is acting in spite of it. I had a conversation with one of my proteges yesterday, and she was asking me, okay, so you've been speaking, you've been leading for years. Do you still get scared? Do you still get afraid, okay, when it's time to speak or whatever? And I said, yes. Okay, as a matter of fact, you see, that little sense of, how do I put it now, of inadequacy is very, very little. When it is more than little, it's a problem. You see, but that little sense of, inadequacy, that sense of, am I certain? Okay, do I have what it takes? You see, that sense is what keeps us humble. If there's anything you do and you wake up to it and just feel, oh, I can do it, it's not an issue. The tendency is for you not to pay attention, and you are likely to fall flat on your face. So, but that thing that questions you, that makes you take care, that makes you, go the extra mile in preparation, just because you know it can work, it cannot work. You see, that thing is what keeps us humble. And every successful person, no matter for how long they've been working, they've been speaking, they've been leading, they've been doing whatever it is they are doing, they still feel it. You see, but what you feel is not the problem. And this is what I told my protege yesterday. If you can make yourself do whatever it is that you have to do in spite of that feeling, you are good. But if you're waiting for that feeling not to be there, if you're waiting for you to be 110% confident before you step out, it is not going to happen. You are going to have to step out afraid. You are going to have to launch afraid. You are going to have to be uncertain. Listen to me, in life, there are no guarantees. Okay? In life, there are no guarantees. The risk is always there. There's never a time you are attempting. If you are attempting things that you are likely not to fail at, then you are not attempting enough. And you are likely not to be at your best. But at every point in time, if you are seeking growth, if you are seeking achievement that is beyond your previous achievement, that element of fear, okay, that sense of inadequacy, that element of this could go wrong or I could fail is always there. You see, because you've never been this way before. You've not done this before. But guess what you have to do? You just have to step out and do what you have to do in spite of how you feel. Okay, I read something in the Bible that really intrigued me. Okay, it's from the book of Joshua, chapter 1. Okay, I'm not going to read it because of time. I'm just going to tell you what is there. And so Joshua was this young leader that was to succeed Moses, or that succeeded Moses. And the beautiful thing I saw in Joshua chapter 1 was how that God said to him, no man will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, I will be with you. But then God said to him, you have to be strong and courageous. Okay, if you want the reference, you can go to Joshua chapter 1 from verse 6 to 7 and then from verse 9. But the thing that intrigued me was when I got to verse 16 to verse 18, I found out that the Israelites also said exactly the same thing to Joshua. They said, look, we will obey you. As a matter of fact, anybody that does not obey you, the rest of us, we're going to deal with the person. There's only one thing we need you to do. You have to be strong and courageous. And then it dawned on me, you are responsible for your own courage. Okay? You are responsible for your own courage. Listen, if there's one thing that nobody can do for you, it is give you courage. That's why you hear them say things like take courage, take heart, because you see, it's not going to be delivered to you. It's not going to be given to you. You will have to take it. You will have to, this is one thing you have to do for yourself. Okay? Take courage. If you're going to be enterprising, if you're going to be successful, you have to be courageous. What is courage? Acting in spite of fear. And that's one thing successful people do, okay, all the time. They act in spite of fear. A lot of times when they act, they make it look so normal that you don't know what's going on inside. Okay, the average successful person is like a dock, okay, on a river. On the surface, you see the dock is cool, calm, and collected. But underneath the surface, there is a lot of paddling that is going on. A lot of paddling is going on. It's the same thing with the successful person. He's fighting battles in his mind. He's second guessing himself. He's asking questions, but on the surface, he is cool. He tells the people, let's go. Okay, we can do it. We can make it happen. But inside him is asking questions. Listen, as long as you can make yourself do what you have to do, regardless of what you're feeling inside, especially a sense of inadequacy, okay, you are courageous. And then this is what happens. Over time, you develop confidence. Over time, you develop confidence. So I told this protege of mine, I said, you see, I speak all the time. But I had a speaking engagement recently, and when it was just about time for me to, step up to speak, I don't know where it came from. I just had this funny stage fright. I was just suddenly afraid. You see, I was sitting in front in the hall, okay, they were just about to call me, and then I started feeling, inadequate. So what did I do? I said to myself, they've invited you to speak, you have prepared the notes, you have arrived at the meeting, they're about to call you up, so you don't have a choice. You are going to have to stand up. You will walk there. When you walk there, you will take the microphone, you will greet the people, you will look at your notes, okay, and you will start talking. And that was exactly what I did. As a matter of fact, when I got on the stage, I didn't look at the people. First, I just looked at my notes and then I started talking. But because I had prepared, I just kept saying what I had prepared. And in less than 2 minutes, it lifted. And I spoke confidently. Okay, and that's the way it works. You just have to make yourself do whatever it is that you need to do. I want to share with you a verse from the Bible. Okay, from this very old version of the Bible, it's called the Living Bible. Okay, some people will be familiar with the Living Bible. In Ecclesiastes chapter 11 and verse 4, okay, it says, if you wait for perfect conditions, you will never get anything done. If you wait for perfect conditions, you will never get anything done. I heard this from Vusi very recently. He said that the best of entrepreneurs don't have, a business plan. Okay, he said the best of entrepreneurs, they don't have a business plan. They don't have the time to draft a business plan. So because those ones with the perfect business plan, they are just living in the world of fantasy. Real entrepreneurs, real business people know the only way you know whether something is going to work is not how it works on paper, but that you step on the street and you make it happen. You are likely to fail, but then you attempt it nonetheless. Okay, and that is the way to success. Figure out what it is that you are supposed to do and do it courageously. Okay, we're looking at the 7 essential qualities of successful people. And the one we are looking at tonight, this is the 4th principle. We're looking at this. Successful people are enterprising. Okay, they are visionary, they are courageous, and they are resourceful. Okay, when I say resourceful, they can take one and bring out 10 out of one. Okay, they can look at something everybody says it's small, and they can make a lot out of it, because you see, they see beyond the obvious, they see possibilities, they see potential. All right, I want to round up with this. And this is the question. Somebody's asking, how do you become courageous? I know I said something about that, but I just want to mention it, okay, so that somebody can remember. How do you become courageous? Keep doing whatever you have to do, in spite of how inadequate you feel, okay? Because confidence grows with every win, okay? confidence grows with every win. People that are very close to me, okay, know that for a long time I did not do Instagram live because I just was shy. I just felt like, look, when I'm talking to people, I want to see the people I'm talking to. Okay, I can't do anything live and I can't see my audience. I want to be able to touch people. I want to be able to see people see. But before the pandemic, that was the norm. But when the pandemic set in, after some time, I did not have a choice. I had to come on Instagram live. Now I've been doing this now for months, and the average person will look at me and say, oh, he's so cool, he's so confident as he is doing it. No. Every time I go live, I do it courageously. Okay, and with every win, confidence grows. Okay, so do whatever it is that you have to do, because you know, with every win, confidence grows. Okay, with every win, confidence grows. I want to round up with this story. Okay, it's the story of J. Paul Getty. All right, let me read it to you. I have it right here in front of me. Let me read it to you. J. Paul Getty was one man who understood the connection between risk and success. Beginning in 1949, he paid King Abdulaziz of Saudi Arabia, listen to this, $9.5 million in cash and $1 million every year for a 60-year concession to a tract of barren land near the border of Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. No oil had ever been discovered there, and none appeared until 4 years later, and $30 million had been spent. But from 1953 onward, the land produced 16 million barrels of crude oil per year. This contributed greatly to the fortune that made J. Paul Getty one of the richest people in the world. Okay, as we wind down tonight, I want you to think about this story of J. Paul Getty. It was just a barren land. There was no guarantee. Okay, and then he invested money, $30 million, and 4 years before he got results. $30 million and 4 years. So when we say successful people are risk takers, that's what we're taking. That's what we're talking about. Sorry. Okay. They calculate, yes. But when the time comes to jump, they jump. Okay. And that's what I'm trying to tell you now. There comes a time where you have to do what you have to do. And like Joshua, God will not do it for you. People will not do it for you. God told him the same thing. The people told him the same thing. You have to be strong and courageous. And that's my encouragement to you tonight. Whatever it is that you have to do, first figure out it's the right thing to do, and then step out regardless of how inadequate you feel. You know why? Because confidence grows with every win.